up the chain, we are going to get into the upper body. So a little bit of the lat area, a little bit of the shoulder area, maybe even a little bit of the trap area, okay? Excuse me. So start by rolling the feet. Remember, we want to work between the ball of the foot, that's the heel, heel of the foot and the ball of the foot, right? On that inner side, so if this is my big toe, right in that arch space. If this is my pinky toe, right here on that outer edge of the foot. So explore all those spaces with your ball. Start with one foot. I will stay on this foot for just over a minute, just rolling back and forth, and then we'll do some work still on the same foot. So don't switch just yet. Keep going. Rolling the foot. Right, inside, outside, right up the middle. Find those little nooks and crannies way back there by the heel. Right underneath that ball of the foot. Right, and then through your rolling, hopefully you've picked out spots that are a little more tight. You might have tension spots in there. And go back and polka dot those. So when I say polka dot, you're going to push down in those spaces, hold, breathe. Breathe is number one. Move, right? So here, easiest to move the toes. You want to move them as much as you can. Up and down, spread them wide, whatever it takes. Release, come off, find another spot. Same thing, press down, breathe, move, and release. Find a new spot. Press down, hold, breathe, move, and release. So we're going to continue this for 20 more seconds on this foot. And then we will switch. Good. Good. Shake out that foot and just take it right to the next one. Right? So I have a time running here. I'm going to do it 2 minutes per foot. But again, if you have one side that feels tighter than the other and you want to spend more time on it, please, please, please do. You know your body better than I do, better than anybody else. So give it what it needs. Okay? I encourage you to spend a little bit of time on each, right? If you don't find much on one side, you want to go back to the other, fine. But give both sides just a little bit of love. And most of just check in and see what's going on with both feet especially. Okay? So rolling here, a little bit longer, searching for triggers, points, tight spots. All right, and then on that foot, or going back to the first foot if that works for you, polka dot, push down, hold, breathe, move, meeting the toes. And not just moving the toes up and down, but can you spread them wide, right? Really reach that big toe away from the pinky toe and all those toes in between. Release, find a new spot, push down, hold. Wiggle the toes. And release. Push down, hold. Wiggle the toes. And release. Just about 30 more seconds here. Good, and shake out that foot. So we're going to go right into stretching the calves and the feet here. And I have a wall, right? So of course I have to turn my back to you for you to see. If you have a wall, you can use it. If you don't have a wall, you can do the same thing right on your mat wherever you are, okay? But I'm going to show you the wall for those that have it. The way I want you to line up, toes, all 10 toes pointed forward. We're not turned out like we would be in yoga, right? All 10 toes pointed forward. We're going to press that back heel into the floor. If you have a wall, hands on the wall. And we're going to push. I'm going to push my hands to the wall, push my heel into the floor. Okay, so if this wall was here, pushing the wall, heel into the floor. Knee is straight. And I'm going to continue to actively push my heel down, my hands forward, Squeezing this back glute, getting a little lengthening here through this hip flexor. Right, so we're gonna hold here for 3 breaths. Now, keeping that knee or that heel down, sorry, bend the knee. Okay? Maybe you can only go a little bit, that's okay. But bend the knee, still pressing into the heel, still pressing into the wall. We get a little less stretch through the hip flexor here. But now that we're getting a little lower in that calf space, so it's more down by the Achilles. 2 more breaths. Good, let's stay on that same side. You're gonna take your tops of your toes, push them into the floor, kick the front of your foot forward. Again, getting a little stretch here through the hip flexor. Now we're stretching the top of your foot, the front of that ankle. 3 breaths. Good, now we're gonna flip it. Bottoms of the toes into the floor. You're gonna push those toes down, lift the heel up. Imagine you're gonna take off running here and freeze, hold, glute tight. 3 breaths. Stretching the bottom of the foot here. And release, shake out that leg. Okay, we're gonna go to the other side, starting with that calf stretch. Again, so you can see all 10 toes pointed forward. I'm pressing my heel down. My knee is straight, right? Pressing the heel down, pressing into your wall if you have it. If not, just squeezing that glute, pressing the hips forward. Hold here, 3 breaths. Actively keep that heel pressed down, keeping that knee as straight as you can. Good. Heel stays down, knee bends only as far as works for you. 2 more breaths. Good. Coming back up, tops of the toes into the floor, front of the ankle forward, tuck that tailbone, hold. Imagine you're kicking something, the toes get caught on the floor, freeze. Keep pressing the front of the ankle forward. 2 breaths. Good, switch it. Bottoms of toes down, heel up, like you're gonna take off running. Hold. 3 breaths. Good, and shake all of that out, okay? We didn't roll the calves, but we definitely stretched them, rolled the feet, stretched the feet. Should feel a little bit lighter and more weight. Grab your ball. We're gonna bring it up to the glute and hip area first, starting with that low glute space, meaning the glute max, right? That biggest part. So take it down that space. You can do a little side to side. And what we're doing is going from that hip socket in towards the spine, okay? So out and in, side to side, a little bit up, down. Good, and in this space, remember we have that ball and socket joint, a lot of little hip muscles crisscross and work together in that space. So we don't want to roll on that socket itself, but we can kind of trace all the way around it and find those little rotator muscles around that hip ball and socket joint. Right? Glute med continues into this space as well. Right? So just moving, and while we're here, let's just stay in that low glute space and just go to the other side. Okay? So we're going to be here in this low glute space for about another minute. So just alternate between the 2 sides, however works for you. Okay? Spend some time in both. but spend extra time in the areas that you have tightness adhesion. All right, breathe. Focus on the breath. This should be never, rolling should never take your breath away. Okay? Never, never take your breath away. If you're taking your breath away, you're going too deep, too much pressure. Good. Okay, so now we're going to go up into that high glute space. Again, finding the top of your pelvis. That's your bony landmark, right? We're going to put the ball just below the ridge of that pelvis. And we're going to roll from that right along the side all the way to where your spine is. We're not going to roll onto the spine. So right in here, high glute, glute med space. Find it, roll. Okay, so you can move that ball a little bit up and down, right? You can start it just below the ridge of the pelvis, and then you can move it down a little bit to get kind of that middle ground between the low glute, high glute. Just find spaces that benefit you, right? Everybody's different. I'm just your tour guide. You are learning your body as we go. Okay, so again, alternating between the two sides. We're going to spend another minute and a half here in a high glute space. Just rolling, and then we'll do a little bit of pin stretch in the space as well. Okay, and remember you can take it right onto that side. So here's the top of my pelvis. I'm going to put it right here, put it down a little bit lower. I'm going to avoid that bony part and take it down lower. Explore in those spaces as well. Okay, 30 more seconds here. And then we'll do a little pinning and stretching. So pay attention here in the last little bit. Where are your tight spots? And we're going to go back to those tight spots and spend a little extra time. All right, so I have a tight spot right here. Right? It's not at the top of my pelvis, and it's not really in that low glute space. It's kind of in between. I'm going to put the ball right there. Right? I'm going to push into the ball and into the wall, finding my footing as I need. Reach up with my inside arm. Again, this is my arm that's against the wall. I'm going to reach up and lengthen. So what we're doing is I'm pinning that tight spot. I'm going to reach up, and then I'm going to reach away from it. Okay, so now I'm stretching. Okay, finding that trigger point, pressing it, holding it, and then lengthening out of it. 3 breaths. Okay, so you find trigger points in that high glute space. Put the ball there, push into it, reach up, lengthen. So what we're doing, right? Self-myofascial release. Targets, trigger points in the fascia layer. Okay, we're going to target those trigger points, almost like if you had a Play-Doh and you had a knot in it. You want to roll out that knot before you try to stretch it, right? So we rolled it out. Now we're going to put a little bit of pressure into that knot and stretch out from it, right? So you can imagine how, especially if that space is warmed up, right? That you picture a knot in your Play-Doh if it's nice and warm, and you press down and you pull on one end, you're going to get a lot more pliability out of it versus something that's cold, number one, right? And something you haven't worked on that knot a little bit. All right, so pin and stretch. We'll take about 30 more seconds here in this space, and then we're going to move up the chain. Okay, so on Mondays, we pretty much stay from the hips down, spending a lot of time in the hips, glutes, hamstrings. On Wednesdays, I take the rolling a little bit higher and also the stretching as well. Okay. Good. Okay. So now bony landmark, we already found it, top of the pelvis, right? Bony landmark, we already found it, the spine. So imagine, it's not a straight 90 degree, but imagine as much as you can an L. You're gonna go straight down and then out, right? We're in that 90 degree angle, right in that part, can you put that ball, right? So deep in there is your QL muscle. On more of the surface layer are your spinal extensors, okay? So finding that L, that the L makes with your spine and your pelvis. Stick the ball in there, hold, breathe. These are just little mini movements up and down, maybe a little side to side. Okay, I can feel my QL in there. I've had problems with my QL for a while now. It's a very reactive muscle. It tends to try to compensate for anything that's going wrong around it. Okay, so again, if the pressure is too much, pull away. Less pressure, remember to breathe. Okay, you can go a little up, down. Then you're going to get those spinal extensors that run up and down right next to the spine. Right? We want those to be strong, but we don't want them to be over tight either. Okay? So now just alternate, and again, do what works for you. Alternate between these two sides, right? 90 degree angle on this side, sticking that ball in there, moving a little bit down and up, maybe a little bit side to side. Inhale, exhale. Okay, maybe rolling right along the top edge of that pelvis, right? We were just below the edge of it. Now we can run right along the top edge of that. Breathe. Alternate between the two sides. Remember, we're staying away from the spine itself, staying away from the vertebrae. Just going next to finding the soft tissues and the muscles. Okay, just about 20 more seconds here. Then we're going to work up the body. All right, so from that lumbar space, lumbar is a low back space. Moving on to the thoracic spine, thoracic space. So thoracic space is basically the whole space of your body that the ribs are in. Okay, so where the ribs attach to the spine, that's your thoracic space. So we're going to take the ball. What do we have? Bony landmark here, our shoulder blade. So feel the bottom of it, right? It comes down almost like a little triangle, right? Find the bottom of it. Put the ball right at the bottom of that scapula or shoulder blade. Put the ball in there. And here we can go again, in towards the spine, out towards the shoulder. Okay, so we can get that bottom space, that's your low lat muscle, right? Lats are those big pulling muscles. Those are also the muscles that tend to fall asleep when we spend a lot of our day in that head forward position. So even though they might not be working the way they should, they can also be tight, okay? Move the ball in there. Let's stay in that low lat space, so the bottom of that shoulder blade on each side. Spend a little time on each side, and then we'll work our way up. Okay, again, a lot of attachments in here. You find what I call Rice Krispies, some clunky clumps. Try to find them, hold, breathe, allow to release. Good. Now, our body, I know, is not made of 90-degree angles. We're not Lego people. But we go across to the middle and then up. Think about that L now, kind of going down, up along the shoulder blade. We already did the bottom. Now imagine going up on the inside edge of the shoulder blade. So if you start at the bottom, where we were, in that corner, that 90-degree corner, and then just roll it up and down. How do we do that? We drop in, put a squat, stand back up. All right, so that ball is kind of tucked in there along the long edge of your scapula, right? Kind of shaped like this. Try to find that long edge going up and down. Breathing. And alternating between each side. Right? You can go from long edge, you can go down, and then out. Down, and then out. Right? Good. So just like we did in our hips, find a tight spot. I have one right here. Okay? I can press, hold, that's my pin, and then I stretch, reach up and away from the wall. Now I'm stretching out of that trigger point. Pin and stretch. Hold for at least 3 breaths. And come back. Find another spot. We're going to spend another minute here in the scapular space, right? So make sure you spend time on both. Spend extra time where you need. Staying away from the spine. You can go next to the spine, right? You have spinal extensors in that space too. If you're finding a lot of tightness in that space, go ahead and explore it. Just stay off the bones themselves, right? On the ribs, you're gonna, the ribs lie underneath the lat. So obviously we're gonna be on top of the ribs a little bit, but with that muscle in between. All right, so roll the shoulders a little bit. Loosening up that lat space can make a big difference on the actions of the shoulders. So now we're going to take the ball. We're going to target the shoulder. First place we're going to target is right next. Okay, so right here, this is my deltoid. Okay, I'm going to put the ball between my deltoid and the wall. Push into it. Go a little up, down. Go a tiny bit front to back. I'm pretty positive you're going to find a Rice Krispie or two in there, right? A tight spot. Hold it, breathe it. One thing you can do is add movement. So where can we add movement? Right at the elbow, right? So I'm taking that arm in and out, and technically I'm moving here at the shoulder, but you can also move at the elbow, right? Doing a little bicep curls, right? Deltoids work with that motion. Take it up, down, around a little bit, right? Like you're kind of tracing a circle with that ball, focusing on that deltoid. Adding movement if it feels okay. If not, just press and hold. So, pin and stretch, right? Yes, I do have a knot here. Can I pin it, hold it? How do I stretch? Opposite ear, opposite shoulder, nice and slow. Breathe. Good. Do that deltoid space on both sides. Right? Deltoid space on both sides. Feel it. If you want to go back to the first side, if you need to, please do. Give both sides a little bit of love. Right, just about 30 more seconds here on that deltoid space. Then we're going to go from the back of the shoulder and finish here in the traps. And then we will spend the last 12 minutes or so stretching. Okay? And again, if any of this doesn't feel right to you, doesn't feel good, go back to something that does. It's your body. Give it what it needs, right? Certainly if you feel pain or tingling or anything like that, back off. Try something else that does feel good. All right, so now, back of the shoulder, right? You can kind of feel where those shoulder bones are. You're gonna put that ball kind of in that, just in that little pocket space, underneath the bone, arm bone, underneath that shoulder bone, right? And just roll, little tiny movements back and forth. And again, you can add movement into out. You can go up and down. Most of all, breathe, right? Just like in the lower body, everything's connected, right? Through the hip, up and upper body, everything's connected through the shoulders, right? Shoulders and neck. Can't really address one without addressing the other. And then on top of it, shoulders obviously connected to the lower body through your core. Go ahead, spend time on both sides, in that shoulder space, adding movement, breathing. Right, and this back shoulder space, again, you can pin, stretch. Maybe that stretch is a little bit chin to chest. Right, getting the stretch from the back of that shoulder all the way up the back into the triceps, into the neck a little bit. That might be your pin and stretch. Play around with it a little bit. It could be ear to shoulder. It could be chin to chest. It could be moving here at the elbow. Good. All right. So last one, we're going to spin on both sides, trapezius, right? Notoriously tight all the time because we spend so much time in our head forward position. As soon as I pull my head forward, looking at my phone, looking at my computer, the weight of my head puts strain on these traps. So that's why we're always preaching that chin to chest or pulling the chin in, ears over shoulders. We stay in that stacked position, right? So now to address tight spots in the trap, find that bony, right? Your bony landmark here, back of your shoulder blade. You're going to put the ball right on top of it, like that shoulder blade is a shelf, right? And then when you come to the wall, you have to squat down a little bit, kind of lean into the wall a little bit to pin that ball between that trap muscle and the wall. And we go from out here, bony part of the shoulder, don't go onto that bony part, and then in towards the neck, right? Capturing that trap, trapezius muscle. It's the upper part of the trapezius. There's a lower part as well, but we're just targeting this upper part, okay? It grabs you by the shoulders and gives you that squeeze. I forgot what that was called when I was a kid. People grab you by that space. Put a pressure point, rolling in and out with control. Again, you can add movement at the arm. You can add gentle, slow head movements. Or you can just hold and breathe. Okay, we're going to go about one more minute here in the trap, so make sure you spend time on both sides. Okay, do it within your pain range, whatever works for you. I always have a ton of knots in my traps. Every time I get a massage from Stephanie, she comments on how many knots I have in this space. She earns her money for sure. All right, just a little bit longer here in those traps. Good. All right. So roll the shoulders a little bit, one at a time, both together. Maybe grab behind, squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift the chest. Just get some nice movement in that space. Hopefully it feels a little bit looser. We're gonna come down to the floor. When you come down to the floor, you will need your pillow as an option for kneeling if you like that, and then your yoga strap or your bath towel, whatever works for you. All right. We're gonna start first on all fours. So this is where, if you prefer a pillow to kneel on, you're more than welcome to grab that. I'm gonna come onto 2 knees here. And what we're gonna do is start in our cat-cow. And what I want you to focus on in cat-cow, yes, we do cat-cow a lot, but I really want you to focus on the movement of your scapula, right? Your shoulder blades we just worked on. When we go into cat, right? We're pushing the floor away, we're spreading those shoulders shoulder blades as far apart from each other as we can. We come back to the neutral, but then as we go into cow, I want those shoulder blades to drop back and down together to allow our chest to lift. Okay? So here we go. Press away. Big exhale, scoop the belly. Really spread those shoulder blades apart. With your hands in the floor, push the floor away, but also spread your hands away from each other a little bit. Just get a little bit more of that extension. Now coming back through neutral, belly comes to the floor, shoulder blades back and down, push your hands in the floor and spread them apart. All right, so imagine pushing the floor away and then spreading your hands apart. Look up. Good, big exhale. Spread. And then inhale, shoulder blades together, back and down. Lift up, hands apart. Exhale, push away. Shoulder blades apart, hands squeezing in towards each other. Inhale, chest up, pressing the floor, hands apart, but shoulder blades together. And let's do that one more cycle. And inhale. Good. Come back to our middle ground, neutral spine. Take up your right hand, reach it up to the ceiling, and then you're going to dive in underneath. Bringing the back of the shoulder to the floor, head to the floor. Big inhale, exhale here. I'm going to do it this way. You can see me first. Your hand that is on the floor, the palm that's on the floor should be pretty much right in front of your face here, right underneath the shoulders. Big inhale, exhale. Pull that belly button in the spine, getting a nice rotation. And I want you to think about reaching that long arm, lengthening, active through the fingertips, and the other palm active into the floor. Pull the belly button in. This is an active stretch. 2 more breaths. Now, pushing through that hand that's on the floor. Push through that hand, come back, and switch. Inhale up. Exhale, diving under. Back of the shoulder to the floor. Back of the head to the floor. Hand right in front of the face. Reach long through the long fingertips. Pull the belly button in, getting a nice rotation through the spine. Good, pushing through that palm, come back up, okay? Now we're gonna go into child's pose. So you can do child's pose with your knees together, knees apart, feet together, feet apart, whatever works. You're gonna step back, hips onto heels. So what I want you to think about here is your hips are your anchor. You're gonna reach your hands forward. And we're gonna start with their hands right above the shoulders. I want you to drop back into child's pose, but I want you to just inch by inch, kind of crawl your fingertips towards the front of your mat as you breathe. Hold the belly button in to the spine with each exhale. All right, now we're going to add a lateral reach to this. So take your left hand out to the left edge of your mat. Take your right hand and put it on top of your left. You can interlace your fingers here. So what we're going to do is anchor with your left hand. We're going to pull back through that right hip. Head can drop between the arms. Keep that left hand as your anchor so it's actively reaching away in opposition from your right hip. One more breath. And switch. Your right hand is your anchor, your upper anchor. Your left hand is on top. Your left hip is your lower anchor. Think about them going opposite directions from each other. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And inhale, exhale. Take one more breath here. And come on up. And we're going to flip over onto our back. Okay? You can keep that pillow nearby. If you need that in any way, you can use it. We're going to come onto our back with our bath towel or yoga strap, whatever you have. And we're going to take it around your right foot. Send that heel up to the ceiling, toes to your nose. So I'm stacked, right? I'm focusing on my heel being stacked over my hip. That's my number one goal. Right? I can't do that. Maybe it's here, that's fine. I want you to anchor that hip, right? So I have ankle, knee, hip. Even if the knee is bent, that's fine. You can still anchor that hip into the mat. Anchor the hip into the mat, and then reach your heel for the ceiling. As you do that, you're going to feel a stretch here, no matter what position your knee is in, whether it's bent or straight. So hip down, heel up, hold, breathe. Good. Using your towel or your strap to help you, let that leg come out to the same side. Keeping that hip anchored. The other leg can open up to the side. It can be long in front. Using your core, using that band, come back to center, restack, turn your big toe in, keeping that hip anchored, come across the body. You can feel a stretch in that outer hip and the hamstring. Hold here. One more breath. Good. Come back to center. Switch feet. Right? So again, heel over hip. Knee could be straight, knee could be bent. But I'm going to push my hip into the floor. I'm going to reach my heel up for the ceiling. Hold here. Taking that leg out to the same side. And I have a wall here, so I'm not going to get very far. But taking that leg out to the same side, still reaching through the heel, keeping that hip anchored. One more breath. Using your towel and your core, come back to center. Anchor the hip one more time. Turn the big toe towards your center. Keeping that hip anchored. You might even use that free hand to kind of hold that hip. Keep it from lifting up, rolling over. Bringing the leg across. Hold. 3 breaths. Good. Coming back to center. Bringing both knees into your chest. As you pull your knees into your chest, actively press your tailbone down into the floor. You can rock a little side to side here. You can reach up between the legs or grab the insides or the outsides of the feet for a little happy baby. Actively pressing that tailbone down. Straighten out one leg, other leg. You could do both. You can use your towel here. Good. And now, I encourage you to finish in a lying twist position. So let's pull the left leg into the body, lengthen out the right. And this is where you can grab your pillow, because you can finish here, kind of focus on your breathing. I'm going to grab my pillow. If I have my left knee in my chest, I'm going to put my pillow on the right side of my body. Left knee in my chest, bring my left leg across, and I'm going to let it rest on that pillow. Now for my upper body, I'm going to take my left arm up to the ceiling, and then on the exhale, I'm going to rotate it, bringing it to the floor, so that I'm getting a nice spinal rotation here. So your left knee, make sure it's a little bit higher than your hip, because we want that rotation to come from the thoracic area, not the lumbar area. And then if you have that mobility, you can try to look towards those left fingers, reaching away from your torso. And I am out of time here. I have to run to my next meeting, but I encourage you to stay on that side for 3 breaths, focusing on your inhales and exhales. Remember, inhale, try to inflate the belly, diaphragm, and lungs. On the exhale, you're bringing everything back in towards your center. 3 breaths on this side, and then switch very slowly, flipping the pillow to the other side. 3 breaths. Actually, I would do 5 or 6 breaths on the other side. Getting that nice rotation, and really encourage yourself to relax, allow that body and gravity to work through the breath. And I will be back on Monday with Stretch, Roll, and Restore. There was some problem with our sign-up system for Monday's link. It was not there. I realized that. It will be there. It already is on the calendar for Monday. So again, Monday we'll do mostly lower body from the hips down. Encourage you to do rolling of the feet, especially a little bit every day is great, even if it's just a couple minutes. And move. Keep moving. Okay? Miss you all. Hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful rest of the week.